One. Hey everyone, welcome to this week's episode of Go Bold or Go Home podcast. We have a lot to talk about and we have a special edition. Steven, you want to tell them what we're going to do today?
All right. Yeah, sure. So over the last episode of Go Bold or Go Home, I heard a very interesting opinion that Colton won the draft. So I wanted to see, was that actually right? Can Nolan put his money where his mouth is? We actually dove in to the numbers a little bit to try to answer that question today.
So there are some surprises. There are some surprises in there. So
oh yeah, you taking a look?
I will say maybe Colton did win the draft after I thought about it more, but the trades make it a little different. But let's go ahead and see how we structured our review process.
That's right. And ultimately, it's still subjective. I mean, the grades I give each player, or I gave each pick, is subjective in the end, but there's a couple different things that we took into account. I took into account the preseason ADP. Now, I didn't actually have it from draft day because I didn't think about this idea until literally until Saturday. So we don't have that, but we have the ADP of what I think was like the day before kickoff or something. So it's not our draft day ADP. So guys like Gus Edwards, Rip, aren't going to be, they don't have an ADP. Because drafting them.
I believe that's Hayden who took all the injured running backs. So
that's right. So we also have drafted position. So for example, when a guy was like Christian McCaffrey was 1.01, he'd also be running back 1. And then we also have the position that they were taken in. So you took Waller in the first round. I think he was like tight end, like the 4th tight end technically off the board because of keepers or something like that. So I put that information in there too. So you have an idea of the value you got for the player versus the value they're giving you in the season. This is for weeks 1 through 7 because I made this Saturday, not before Sunday. So Derrick Henry's still gonna look like a stud.
Yeah, but, hey, I saw something today. I think Matthew Berry, the fantasy football expert, tweeted out. He's like, make sure if you run into Derrick Henry fantasy owners that you give them a hug and say that they're in your thoughts and prayers because I could use it. And I didn't realize until I looked at my projected point total this week how much it really hurts.
Yeah, we all put an F in the chat for you. So make sure everyone does that actually comments on your videos. I think that's like 2 people. So
put an F in the comments, please. Yes. All right.
So yeah, using that week 1 through 7 does not factor. So I made this on Saturday. That way it doesn't factor in Thursday night football and Aaron Jones has one more game than everybody else. Realize that. So it's only 1 through 7, and the rest of the season rankings were from Saturday. So guys like Derrick Henry and a few other guys that we will address at some point in this video.
Yes.
Also were affected from that rest of season rankings that we did in October 30th, the day before Sunday night football. So we're going in, my opinion, the worst draft to the best draft in that order.
Oh, yeah. Here we go. Worst draft. Let's see. Oh, interesting. That looks like Hayden's team. I never would have guessed it was the guy that picked 2 running backs who will not play at all this year.
No, I think the icing on the cake for this one being last, it has to be Travis Etienne in the 7th round when he was already on IR. I mean, like, we feel bad for him about Gus Edwards in the 4th and him getting hurt. But Travis Etienne in the 7th when he was already hurt. You could have made that pick at round 14 and nobody would have noticed. You could have picked him up at the end of last year, this season, and nobody would have noticed.
Would have snuck by.
Yeah. 7th round.
Did not see that coming. I also think you got Corey Davis taken pretty high for a receiver on the Jets. But hey, Mike White, it's Magic Mike time up in New York, y'all. Get ready. Woo.
Yeah, what if just a hypothetical. What if Mike White actually ends up outplaying Zach Wilson?
No, here's the hypothetical. What if the Cowboys kept Mike White as the backup quarterback when they drafted him in 2018 instead of Cooper Rush? Just throwing it out there.
Ooh. Don't you dare. But yeah, I mean, like, and here's the problem with I have a hate draft. If you see there's a lot of B's and B minuses in there, and like you use Corey Davis as an example, taking him really high at that 69th overall, hashtag nice. But but the problem I had with it, all of these picks were reaches at the draft. I mean, if you look at where Corey Davis should have been drafted way later in the draft, his ADP was like 102. He takes him to Stephanie, like 4 or 5 rounds early. I like the player, and if you look, he was drafted wide receiver 41. He's now wide receiver 30.
Yeah.
Rest of the season 38. So it's not terribly off. Like the reach kind of worked. Kinda.
Well, it's where his value
after got points deducted for reaching though.
Yeah, I think that's the thing, is there's a lot of reaches, and I will also say it's not just that there's a good chunk of B's, but he has nothing on the A range while he has a ton on the F's.
That's right.
And that drags it all the way down to a D, because, I mean, and I actually thought that he got a steal at tight end with Blake Jarwin and Firkser right at the end, because
yeah, me too.
I think everyone thought Blake Jarwin was going to go off with the Cowboys, but Schultz came and just took that job. And I think we also all thought Philip Lindsay would be solid, and that hasn't.
No one thought a Houston running back was doing good.
Well, I think he would think that they were only going to run the ball without Deshaun. That's my thought I had with Lindsay coming from the Broncos, but
I like the Mooney pick, and it's now starting to look like it's going to age a little better than it did on here too. But you know,
but hey, Antonio, easily Antonio Brown, best pick of his draft. That was a steal for him.
You see, we got the league winners and the league losers. I don't necessarily think Antonio Brown's a league winner, but like that's probably his best pick though.
If he wasn't getting injured as much, then he'd be a league winner for sure. But I think Antonio Brown's still a solid play when he's healthy. All right, moving on. Oh my God. I feel like I skipped one.
Yeah.
Did I double click?
Well,
did you? We'll figure out who we did.
I don't think so. I think you actually got it right. Yeah, I think it's the one I switched last second.
All right. Well, Steven, can't count apparently, y'all.
Math is hard.
Yeah, so James, and this isn't really all James' fault. He was in a terrible position entering the draft, and it only got worse as half night went. So.
Yeah, no, look, he can only do so much with the picks he had. So, like, that's taken into account, like, as you see, Tony Pollard's in an A category. He's obviously not producing, like, you know, a league winner or per se, but that's league winning value at the bottom of the draft there. In at 151 or something.
Oh, so, yeah.
And now he's like so he drafted him as running back 51 off our draft, which seems like a lot of running backs, but now he's running back 26. So that represents really good value. There are some moves that he made that I like. There's a lot of reaches here again. You see that as a theme at the bottom of the draft here. Like even Jacoby Myers was a reach, and Higbee was a huge reach over in the 5th round, and that probably did not help his draft whatsoever. And that's why I got him as one of the biggest.
The worst one, though, has to be Curtis Samuel. I mean, look at that. He's ranked 156 currently, wide receiver 70, and he picked him up and 113, you know, expecting him to be wide receiver 52. So it's a big little dent he took there.
He
But
played.
yeah, injuries did not help James at all during the season. I mean, losing David Montgomery, and then also Devontae Parker is now starting to perform. His week 8 performance was pretty solid, and he's starting to hopefully build some value back up there. And Pollard's been good. But yeah, and then Jacoby Myers has been a bust for the most part. It's been tough, but he does look good going forward. He's got some early picks next year. His team's something to build on. He'll be fine.
That's right. Don't want to give our hand too much here, but I think that there will be a early 2022 power rankings after the keepers are set, where we factor in the 3 keepers plus the draft capital everyone has.
Yeah, stay tuned for the way too early 2022 season power rankings.
Yeah, that video is that's going to be a banger right next to this one.
Oh, yeah, 100%. All right, going on next. Ooh, Andre, this one, I was at first surprised, but once you look at the numbers, it makes sense. It really does. Like Allen Robinson as a top pick just did not pan out at all.
And
then Odell was taken too high. We all know that. Trey Sermon has disappeared off the face of the earth. And then I think one of my favorite busts on it is gotta be the Washington football defense. Taking one of the earliest defenses off the board, drafted in a round I thought was way too early to take a defense. Getting them in the, the 8th round? No. Yeah. And I mean, I just found it hilarious because they're the worst defense.
Yeah, they're
they're ranked 22. So not that great.
See, and I almost put this one in 11th. But the thing is, I would rather have a draft where I have 2 or 3 clangers missed if I get a certified league winner like Marquise Brown actually is. So I had this one below James at one point, but then I moved it up. So I was like, well, the upside of the draft is better still.
He has the A. And I mean, It is nice. I would say he has 2 A's, but I do understand why he gave the B for Lamar, because he would be an A, but he did take him early-ish in the draft that it's more of a B. But Lamar and Marquise have saved him on multiple times end of the week when they go off in those games. And I
fell victim to that one. Yeah. But if you look at that, that's a good point, Nolan. We got to add the caveat here on the quarterbacks. All the quarterbacks are going to have a higher ADP, like at Lamar. Everyone was drafting him at around 40 or so, but we took him at 65. A lot of other leagues are more quarterback happy than us. Most people in our league are pretty content to wait. So there's a lot of good quarterback value.
Well, they're content this season because if we remember last year, shout out to Ben drafting 2 quarterbacks in the top in his first 5 picks. So.
Yeah, I think everyone watched that one happen and said, nope.
Yep, learned their lesson.
A lot of good quarterback value this year.
All right, let's see who we got. Oh, we got a tie at 9, it looks like, or is this supposed to be
more typos.
Okay, so Andre was 10. See, we're learning numbers today, so stay tuned. So you might be able to count all the way down to 1 from 12. But we are at 9. And, I actually really thought Johnson was going to be a lot better when his keepers, Joe Mixon, Nick Chubb, Metcalf, and then I thought Miles Sanders was going to be really solid, Tyler Lockett, and he got A-Rod as quarterback. I was like, all right, he's set. There's nothing else I would have done different. And it's a good thing I didn't do that for myself because it looks like that all backfired at the early part of his draft.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of it was the keepers were really good. Like John was going to be a good sleeper team this year, and then everyone was off the Miles Sanders train, but John took him anyway. Didn't end up working out because he got injured and kind of phased out the offense. I don't know why. And then Lockett, that one's not all John's fault though. I mean, that one's a lot of Geno not being Russ.
Yeah.
so that definitely hurts. I bet his rest of the season value is going to go up a lot higher when Russ gets back. And then there's like, you got the two big clangers in between a really good pick and Brandon Cooks. You got Brandon Ayuk and Will Fuller, two massive Fs.
Oh, yeah. Put the F in the check for those. I will say, John's second half of as we would say, the day 3 draft in the NFL world, that was just like gold mine.
The league winner, I think the best value, but probably the best pick in the draft, weirdly enough, is Jalen Hurts in the 13th round.
Oh, yeah.
That's probably the league winning pick.
It's at least one at the top. I would definitely agree on that because, I mean, Jalen Hurts definitely has been a top quarterback fantasy-wise. But, I mean, that's what you expect when you can draft a running back and put him in your quarterback slot. So I expect nothing else from that.
I'm sure Dylan can tell you all about his love for Jalen Hurts' ability to throw the ball.
Oh, I'm sure he adores it. But I will also say I really like Michael Carter as the season goes on. He's starting to produce more and more every week. I will say, and we will be solemn about this, but Henry Ruggs, it definitely was a good pick. But unfortunately, things happen in the world. Don't drink and drive, kids.
Has not aged well. That's definitely not a B+ pick now. That's going to be an F pick. And that's why he's got to move down. But the Jalen Hurts pick kind of props him safely into 9th, if I can count correctly, unlike my paper.
9th is correct. All right. Ooh. All right. Clint's team, who has just made a monster trade that we will talk about probably next week or in the coming weeks as we get near the end of all the trades. But, yeah. Anyway, Kyler Murray, definitely top pick right there. That was smart. I wouldn't have taken him that early, so I see why we gave him the B because it was a little early for a quarterback. But at the same time, he's getting production from other spots in this lineup, just not as much as you'd want. Looking at Shark and probably looking at Galladay as well, who has been pulling his team down.
I mean, I gave it a B+ because that is probably about where he should go. And he's doing as he should. You know, like it's not a home run. It's not like the ultimate steal of the draft pick, but it's a really good pick. And it's worked out well for him. That's kind of my logic there. I don't know if you see it any different, but I thought the B+ was.
I definitely agree. I will say, I think he's doing pretty well when you talk about Deontay Johnson, Murray, and Robert Woods. I think what's hurt Clint this season has actually been his keepers a bit, with Keenan Allen not being, he's been solid, but wide receiver 18 is not what you expect out of a keeper.
He's not the consistent. And yeah, if you look at that, actually, the wide receiver, there's 13 receivers kept last year. So theoretically, you wouldn't keep wide receiver 18. Now everyone's rosters are different. So you're basically taking your best 3, but you normally don't keep wide receiver 18. That's usually the guy you get in the 4th round or so.
Especially when his draft ranking was wide receiver 9. So you can see that his value
hasn't worked out. But we didn't grade keepers because that wasn't the draft. That was last year's draft.
Yes, exactly. I just, wanted to point it out.
But yes, good observation.
Yep. All right. Now we're going to start getting into some more cloudy draft analysis here. Starting with Aaron. And I think, you know what, Aaron, I know we all gave you crap on draft night, but apparently you are the wise one who saw the bust coming of Ridley almost immediately and skipped over him for Terry. And Scary Terry has not let you down, while Ridley has left poor Colton down, which we'll get to later.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I don't know how he saw that coming. He even avoided picking other players as well, other running backs that were on the board. Everyone was like, he picked Terry there. Like instead of picking Montgomery or anything, he picked Terry. And we're all like, what? And it ends up being probably the best pick of the first round outside of maybe Josh Allen or something. I don't know.
Yeah, this is probably a top pick there. I think it was just I would say it's a top pick more just based on how we all expected him to do it, the Ridley, or pick a running back. And he just said, screw you guys, and did his own thing and was totally right when everyone else said he was wrong. So you know what? Peer pressure, kids. Don't listen to it.
It's got to be said, though. I think Aaron would have won the league if he picked Darrell Henderson at 59 instead of Mike Davis.
Oof, yes.
I would have won the league.
I would agree with that. That's the big oof of his draft. The one major mistake made was Mike Davis. And I made him in one of my other fantasy leagues, and it's been rough going because you pick him early and running backs get thin, and then it's like you're stuck.
Yeah, for sure. And then you follow that up with Debo, though. So, like it's kind of like
Debo's been great. Pittman's been solid. Getting Matt Ryan at your quarterback near the end draft's about good value. Like he's not top tier, but he's going to get you the points you need at the quarterback position. Buffalo defense, though, great pick.
No, but the Bills was a good pick, though.
Or Buffalo, the Buffalo defense.
I thought you said the Ravens. I was like, well, that wasn't a good one. But
no, the Ravens, that was a terrible pick. Now, see, that's the interesting part of his draft strategy was picking two defenses.
Most people don't even pick a single defense.
Yeah, hey, I can't question it. It's a B- draft. This is not much to complain about. So
I think he would be higher if he didn't do so many dang reaches. He reached quite a bit too.
He did reach, but his reaches weren't as drastic as our previous, and that's why he's in the middle of our rankings. Oh man, here comes the injury bugs, Dylan. And look, hey, if you somehow, I say somehow, but when you probably beat the Henry-less team that you're going up against this week in my team, now that you've traded to ensure you're going to get a win, I just want you to know, starting next week, I can't rag on your team. But this week I can. So here we go.
Oh, you still...
Go ahead. What are you saying?
No, you can still rag on him for this week because you picked him for Pick'em and he let you down for a second week in a row.
I know. I picked him every time.
I had a really good streak with him.
Dylan to win. He loses, even when he clearly should win. And that's
keep
why
picking him to win then. I need him to lose, so keep picking him to win. But back to the draft. I only gave Najee an A, even though, obviously that'd be the best value of the draft. You get a top 12 running back and as running back 20. Whoa, but it was literally it was 4.01. It was literally given to him. I can't give him way too much credit for that one.
Yeah, he did what he was supposed to do, which you can give him credit to. But then he screwed it up in round 2 by getting Raheem Mostert. And there's a reason.
We all knew that was a bad one.
Yeah, look, there's a reason that him and we get to this with Ridley again, is him and Ridley, I had on my team last year, could have kept either of them. And I said, nah, injuries and off the field issues. And I'm just saying, I was proven right on both of them. So I saw that's coming a mile away. I would say, you got some B's there. Matthew Stafford, I agree, B+, A- maybe as a ceiling, but I think he just reached a little bit for Stafford. But yeah, that was a good quarterback pick. But then again, he comes in and follows it up with Tunyon, who no one expected him to reproduce like he did last season. And then Ronald Jones has been he's not even the second string back if you think about it. Bernard took second string back away from him too. So just
late round was pretty tragic here, but the safety in the middle gets him, and of course the Najee pick kind of bumps him up here. In hindsight, maybe we could have put Aaron in front here. We probably could have moved Aaron up 1 to 6, and then Dylan down to 7.
I think that's why I said it's a little muddy in this area of our draft analysis, because it's like really depends on the week with them.
It's the meh part of the drafting.
It's the meh. It's the like there's a lot of really good spots, and then and literally that's the epitome of Dylan's draft. It's like, oh wow, what a great pick, and it's like, and you follow that up by doing the absolute worst pick you could have made there. And
Dylan picked Calvin Ridley instead of Najee Harris, like you said he might do. I had to like temporarily talk him off a cliff.
Yeah, it's a good thing. I will say it's a good thing. Oh
man, it would have been hilarious though. It would have been hilarious.
So funny.
He needed
I would have
that.
enjoyed
He needed to get this
season even more so. All right. Well, getting into our top 5 here. So number 5. Wait, did we just go from 7 to 5? Hold on, I'm checking that. No, we did 6 to 5. Okay, making sure counting's all good still. Just we're learning together. We got Ben, one of my homies, yo. Yep. So Kareem Hunt. If it wasn't for an injury, I think that'd be an A pick, honestly. He's been scoring a ton of fantasy points because even with the injury and being out the last 2 weeks, he's still top 30 in his position, which is kind of crazy to think that he hasn't played 2 weeks during when we're counting that. Chase Edmonds, I picked him in, and we'll get into that on my team. But Chase Edmonds he's been getting his fantasy points without scoring touchdowns. So once he starts getting in the end zone, will be great. I think really his whole first half of his draft was just all stud picks, good picks. That's why I really liked Ben's team at the early part of the season.
He did really well with the capital he had. Really well. And he's got...
Yeah. Oh, I guess we lost Steven for a sec, so I will just move forward with this. I would say the worst pick that we got is Tyrell Williams. That if you can go in and say that your second to last pick of the whole draft is the absolute worst, then
but they will know.
Sorry about that glitch. I went ahead and already fired our intern that we had. I mean, it's not a huge loss because we don't pay him anything, but Mac is an idiot. So, Mac, you're fired. All right.
Yeah, rip Mac.
Moving on, just to finish this up, and I think it was just because Mac was upset because we gave Ben a great ranking, and he hates Ben's team because he hates the truth. But Ben had a really good draft when you think about it, and only one pick is like terrible, and everything else is pretty solid at least.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it was a really well put together draft. He didn't have the most capital, but he made the most of what he had. There wasn't, any he had a couple of guys that can return that league winning value, but it was a pretty safe draft. I got him higher than Dylan and Aaron because he doesn't have really any big duds, but he doesn't have like a superstar,
I think he picked every pick exactly where they would have fallen, like in that range. So it was like he didn't make any stupid mistakes, which is a solid draft. So gotta be proud about it. All right. Okay. Here we are. Colton's team, which I said last week, I thought they were, I thought they had the best draft just in recent memory without looking at any of the numbers. And I will say I was pretty close. They were a top draft team.
Yep. I, in all honesty, had Colton one spot higher before when I originally made this on Saturday, but due to some unfortunate off the field issues, we had to move him down one spot.
Yeah, I mean, Ridley, that was just out of the blue. We didn't. No one saw that coming, and that kind of hurts because, like me and Colton were talking the other day, you don't know if it's a like couple weeks into the season or he's pulling a full Barry Sanders and just like I'm done with this whole football thing. So who knows?
Well, prayers to Calvin though. Hope he does well, takes the time that he needs.
Yeah.
Doesn't have the pressure from the rude fantasy football players to come back before he's ready. And
I mean, part of me also thinks he might just wait till, next season and pull like what Antonio Brown kind of did, gets help, comes back mid-season and helps the team when actually able to compete once Falcons rebuild a bit more.
Maybe.
So, I mean, I think that's what's going to happen, but we'll see. But Josh Allen, definitely, that's like one of the quarterbacks I'd say, yeah, you could get him and, no, not 2021 Patrick Mahomes, but 2020 and earlier Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen are like your two exceptions of quarterbacks you could get in your first couple picks, in my opinion. But yeah, steal of the draft. This is where I think it's one, the pick of the drafts would have to be Darrell Henderson. Just for the value. Oh my God. I mean, 29th running back off the board, I think. No, 25th running back off the board.
No, 20. No, 29. You're right.
Yeah, I read it right.
29th off the board.
And
he was ranked 25th.
That's ridiculous. So
and now he's 14 as of week 7, but I have him now, and I know that he is number 11 right now. So he's a top 12.
He's a baller. He is getting it done because the Rams are leading their games a lot.
He's Mo Bamba because he's balling like a mother pro,
We know.
No, okay.
All right. Okay. Well, Steven, we're on your team. I like it. Let's see here. Myles Gaskin, probably your worst pick, but you got it out of the way early. Oh, Malcolm Brown, actually your worst pick, but we can get
yeah, but at least it was at the end of the draft.
I actually forgot Malcolm Brown existed, so there's that.
I mean, yeah, he's on the injured reserve. He was taking carries from Gaskin before. Dolphins have been kind of committee based, but Gaskin's starting to act. I think he's going to creep up there a little bit. Won't look as bad by the end of the year. Lucky for you though, because Derrick Henry is.
Fingers crossed.
I think you got a decent, another kind of startable running back-ish.
Serviceable, at least.
Not what I drafted him as number 4. If I'd be a dependable 2, maybe even 3, but, is what it is. But the best pick, but in my biased opinion, the best pick of the draft happened right after. So
Cooper Kupp. Oh, my God. I mean, I knew he was going to produce Matthew Stafford coming in, but I did not expect it to be like, hey, I'm throwing to this guy Kupp every single time.
Yeah, I mean, look at this run I had after Gaskin. This is why I put myself this high. I know I'm biased, but the facts don't lie. Cooper Kupp, then DJ Moore, and then Damian Harris.
It's good. It's a good.
That's a really good run.
And then I would say, I mean, even after that, no offense, been aight when he's healthy.
Mm-hmm.
And Joe Burrow was a great quarterback pick late.
I know I should have trusted it. I need to trust my gut next year.
Yeah.
This is a pretty good draft minus the end.
Yeah, your end was rough because then I think you just tried to get a little too risky and it just got all messy and gross.
Yeah, I got a little cute at the end of the draft, but it's a
hey,
really good beginning.
Really good beginning, really good in the middle. You gotta love what you saw there. So for sure. All right. Well, here I am. So in that
And
second,
we're just on bias as hell. We put ourselves at 2 and 3.
is it bias hell? Because I mean,
We'll let the comments decide.
I'll put it this way. Let's say it this way. A lot of the teams we saw ahead of, like right below me here, they have a good chunk of B's and then like 1 or 2 A's that put them up higher. I was hit or miss. Like I took some shots, got A's, and then I took some shots that got like C's and an F. But you didn't really see a lot of the B's and D's and C's.
You can tell you had your targets because your overalls are generally higher than the ADP that they were picked at.
Oh,
so
yeah.
You had your targets. They weren't like big reaches though, but you definitely had and got your targets. And I mean, Leonard Fournette, that's the definition of league winning value. You got Jalen Waddle. That was a nice pick for where you got him.
Mm-hmm.
Right into me. T. Higgins and Jerry Jeudy, they're not massive misses either. Like you had some league winners, but you didn't have like outside of Russ, which is an injury thing, you didn't have any like big whiffs. I mean, Hines wasn't great, but outside of that, there's like not a lot of big misses. Man, if you held on to Gesicki though.
Yeah, I mean, I wish I had hung on to Gesicki in hindsight. I think part of me, it was his first 2 weeks were actually down. And I was just like, well, I already have Darren Waller. I don't really need another tight end. And so I just was like, bye, Gesicki. But I will say, when you get the Colts defense as your last pick for a defense, which is how I think every draft should be, with defense at the very end. But Fournette, for sure, one of the best picks. It's one of those I still argue as a top pick. I see why.
I do too.
But, I mean, when you could go and get, who's now my running back 1, but he's currently ranked at 10, but he's picked, in what, the 10th round there, or 7th round, what, 82nd overall pick? Yeah, it's a good steal right there. But, real quick, I just want to say going forward, because I know everyone's concerned about Derrick Henry there, and I have to address this just real fast. We're not going to worry because today's unofficial sponsor, the reason my team will succeed going forward, Arizona green tea, because the Arizona Cardinals and Chase Edmonds will carry me until Henry returns in 6 weeks. I am betting on it. I am praying on it. I am doing sacrifices in my backyard for it.
Oh.
Yes, I know. I will do whatever it takes.
Biting kneecaps or what?
Oh, I'm not just biting kneecaps. I'm gnawing them off. And I don't care.
Whoa. You and Campbell would be great friends.
Yes, and this is why I'm sticking out this challenge as I drink our sponsored drink. And I want Dylan to listen in. Dylan, you think you're going to win next week? We already have the $10 bet. I posted in the group. You're so confident now because you got Taylor. Double or nothing.
Bag.
$20. But it's so $20 if I win. But it's very unlikely now. Because, you made the bet before Henry got hurt. And now you have Taylor. So I'm just saying, you should have all the reason to do this. But if I win, you not only have to endure me trashing your team forever and pay me the money, I want you to come on to the show and put a bag on your head.
Yeah, back head.
But if you win, I will not only apologize publicly on the show, I will put the bag on my head on this show.
Ooh, good.
Yes, the bag of shame is at stake. So accept this bet. You need to tune in for that. All right, moving on to our number 1.
No one's surprised. No one's surprised that I thought about this. And you know what I said? I said that Cooper Kupp was the best pick of the draft. I misspoke. That's Jamar Chase. It just is. I'm sorry, Jake.
You know what? I think Jake probably is friends with Jamar Chase, and told him to be like, hey, I don't know how to catch a football. Footballs are hard. And that way everyone would be like, oh, this guy can't catch a single football. What are we thinking? And then draft him late and kill us all. Plus Kyle Pitts, great pick. Tom Brady, great pick at his age. Mike Williams, I actually
that's
like
another
Mike
that's
Williams
another
just as
contender
much
for
as I
best
like
pick.
Chase.
Yeah.
Like when basically you have two terrible picks, but everything else is like A's or high B's, and your two terrible picks come smack middle of the draft, and then the last pick of the draft that really is just a throwaway pick at that point.
Yeah.
You did really well, and I would say actually his worst pick probably was his keepers, but that's not what we're here to talk about. So that's why he gets an A in our draft analysis.
Nah, with Johnny Smith, but we'll let it slide because he's got Kyle Pitts.
Yeah, I mean, Jonathan Smith ain't going to see the field with Kyle Pitts on this team.
So Smith was just there to keep the bench warm for everybody else, apparently.
Exactly. All right. Well, we're going to go ahead and wrap this up. All right, guys. Thank you so much for coming to another episode of Go Bold or Go Home. Can't wait for the next session. Next session is going to be the great apology / rub it in someone's face episode. So stay tuned to see who wins.
I think you should keep it open so people can come in and roast the loser.
Oh, it'll be open. We'll have, you know what? We won't even really do predictions or anything next week. It's just going to be like a come in and roast session and just kind of talk about their season. Maybe we'll have some standing projections or something. We'll play by ear. We're more excited.
We'll pass the virtual ball around so there's a little bit of order.
Yeah. We'll have the bag of shame. It's going to be a good time. So, all right, guys. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you all next time.